Good morning. It's great to be here. When I decided to speak at this event, I thought about how can I make this a little bit different. We have experts such as Ajay and the other speakers talking about amazing content. I wanted to go a little bit back to basics and talk about what I'm personally fascinated about, which is human behavior psychology. So I hope you like it. If you don't, I kept some jelly beans on the table so you can just snack on them. So thanks for the great introduction. Just to add to what he said, I'm a qualified life coach and NLP coach, and that's where my Chief Energy Officer title and my personal interest on this topic comes into play. Just to tell you a little bit about LINKVIVA. So we are an event management and experience agency. And what we do is we create exceptional experiences that connect the human behavior to the brands and companies in a way that it actually can generate results for them. So we've been here for 13 years and work with some of the world's leading brands, and we delivered events around the world. So what I'm going to be talking about is understanding human behavior, connecting with human instinct, and measuring ROE, not ROI, which I'll come back to just in a while.
Why don't most sales and marketing messages work? Why do products and services that seem so right on have a hard time getting buyers and market share? Too many times, the message doesn't understand the audience. It doesn't take into account the 5 secrets of human behavior. We all have filters, ways of looking at the world that aren't objective and aren't logical. And yet too many marketing messages try to sell us using logic or facts and data. We are 98% emotional. Logic doesn't work in most cases. We have different preferences for behavioral style. We can't hear a message if it is delivered to us in a communication approach we don't relate to. Our values come between us. If you try and sell me on something because it's important to you, you miss the part about me. What do I care about? What meets my value criteria? We assume too much. We don't offer the audience a so what? Why should they care? Why does this matter to them? Our focus is on us. We need to sell what we do well, how impressive we are, but ultimately, who is going to buy your story, your message, or your product? They are. Learn about them. Understand the mind of the buyer. Learn and use these 5 secrets to better know the mind of the buyer and win minds and buyers like never before.
So understanding human behavior. I'll read this. It's interesting. According to the American Psychological Association, behavioral psychology is a scientific approach that limits the study of psychology to measurable or observable behavior. Great. What does that mean? It actually means that when you understand human behavior, you improve your chances of making your business work. So what does that mean, and how do we bring that in the context of mice? Engaging the 5 senses. Now, I'm going to show you how do we actually experience the world around us, and what does that have to do with the 5 senses. I said it's back to basic and understanding a little bit about psychology. So let me just ask you, what are we actually made of? You know, I feel we sometimes make life very complex, where it's actually very simple. We're all made of energy. If that works, we're made of energy. Maybe this disagrees with me. So we're actually all made of energy. What does it have to do anything with the topic? It actually has everything to do with it. Let's just agree for now, everything including you constantly vibrates at a frequency emitting energy. So we know we're made of energy. Let's have a look at our nervous system. I mean, the most fascinating thing worldwide is our nervous system. Now, neurologists have actually, and neuroscientists have actually found out that only 5% of our daily activity comes from our conscious mind. What does that mean? 95% of our decisions, actions, and emotions, and the behaviors comes from the subconscious. That actually means it's your subconscious mind that shapes how we experience the world around us and how we create our reality. So how do we actually create our reality? And if this is the way we actually create our life and our world around us, how does that impact when we're in an event and we actually go back and say, yes, it was an amazing event, and I decided to buy, rebuy, or refer or not? So how we experience our reality, the very first touch point is our reality is informed by our sensory information, which is our 5 senses. So we actually start experiencing the world with what we see, what we hear, what we touch, and you know the rest. What do we do next? We add meanings to it. So we receive very neutral, meaningless data, and we add meaning to it. So we add meaning to the sensory data, and we create our model of the world. That's why 2 people go to the same event, come back with totally different observations. For each, their life is seen differently. Third is feeling making. What do we do with that? We already add meaning as if it wasn't enough. Now we want to add our feelings, so we add emotions to it. And that actually creates our states. So sometimes you go, something happens, you go to an event, or an event in your life, or a live event, doesn't matter. You add meaning to it, you add feeling to it, and then that actually puts you in a good mood, in a happy state, in a sad state. This is the process of that, how that happens. And actually the feedback to the meaning making and feeling making causes our behavior. And our behavior is all our activities, conscious and subconscious. And that then leads to our action, which actually produces our result, which is the outputs we produce in life. And our result feedback back into our experience. It's quite simple, it's just a little deep. So let's quickly look at here. So this is basically external factor. The very first touch point is what we see, what we touch, what we hear, what we smell, and what we taste. Then we come here, we add meaning to it by deleting, distorting, and generalizing the information. We add feeling to it, we create your state, and then that's the behavior leading to the results or how we perceive something. Okay, great, we know that. How do we now connect with human instinct or human behavior? It's all about the human connection. So Anthony Robbins says, to effectively communicate, we must realize that we are all different in the way we perceive the world, and should use this understanding as a guide to our communication with others. So we're all different, obviously, but to use that to communicate with others is the key point. So we experience life through our 5 senses, and these are the 5 sensory modalities. We talked about this. That's what causes us to actually experience the world around us. I have a question for you. So let's say I'm an event agency, I actually am, and you come to us and brief us with a project. Now, I pass that on to our creative director and my team, and let's assume that my team are actually very visual. What they're going to spend doing is to create an amazing event concept and proposal which is based about visual, because this person, our creative director, is very visual, obviously. Now, the client loves it, and we're at an actual event. Now, you are a participant, and you're actually auditory. So for you, no matter how massive the stage is, or how beautiful these amazing artworks are, you care about what you hear, because that's how your model of the world is. And assume that I've neglected everything about what you hear. What do you think your experience of that event is going to be? Probably not as great, because you're going to leave saying, amazing, but the content or what I heard didn't really make me feel amazed about this event. I like it, but am I going to buy? Am I going to rebuy? Am I going to refer? Probably not. So it is extremely important that at the creation of an event, we consider the fact that people come from these 5 sensory modalities, and actually we pay attention to all the 5 senses. I don't know how many of you noticed the small, it's a room refreshener at the back of the room. I saw that when I walked in, which means, hands up for the hotel, they've thought about it, and they're actually caring about, when you enter into this room, what do you smell? How does that make you feel? How does that impact your decision about this event? So we talked about experience. Now let's have a look at what Daniel Kahneman says. He's a Nobel Prize winner and pioneer in human behavioral economics. He says memories are more important than experiences. Well, as if it wasn't hard enough, it wasn't easy enough to actually put together experiences. Now we have to put together or think about how do we create memories out of those experiences. Let's watch him.
What defines a story are changes, significant moments, and endings. Endings are very, very important. Now, the experiencing self lives its life continuously. It has moments of experience, one after the other. And you can ask, what happens to these moments? And the answer is really straightforward. They're lost forever. And yet, somehow you get the sense that they should count. That what happens during these moments of experience is our life. It's the finite resource that we're spending while we are on this earth. And how to spend it would seem to be relevant, but that is not the story that our remembering self keeps for us.
Okay, this was a TED Talk and I had to shorten it. So what he's actually saying is that the decisions we make are based on our memories and not based on our experiences. And there was an interesting story he mentioned. He says, let's say you go to your favorite hotel or restaurant. You're with your loved one. The ambience is just amazing. The music is great. The food is the best you've had. So everything that you care about is actually great. But what happens is when you get up to leave, the waiter spills, let's just say, coffee on you, something colorful on you. Now, you had an amazing experience, but when you leave that, you're not going to leave with a great memory. Now, interestingly, your decision to actually buy, rebuy, and refer that venue comes from your memory, not your experience. So let's look at how do we create memories from our experiences. And that comes to measuring ROE, not ROI. So what is ROE? ROE is the return on experience. So we talked about how human instinct makes us, or your customers, measure their experience. Now we want to talk about how do you influence that experience to create it into a memory, right? So to turn an experience to a memory, it goes to our value drivers. So that's what comes at a deeper level. According to a study done by Harvard, all of us, whether you're B2B or B2C, have 9 value drivers that define your experience or actually your decision about something. So the first value driver is guaranteed results. So no matter what you are, whether you're a consumer or whether you're a B2B buying products from me, you're looking for guaranteed results. Second thing is emotional ROI. We always look for that emotional ROI. When we evaluate our company, when we did this exercise for our clients, we realized the emotional ROI they're looking for is peace of mind. Just give me peace of mind and assure me that you're there to do it. And that's sometimes the most important thing. And sometimes it's about making me look good as a client in front of my managers. So how do we turn, and obviously for every different, their value drivers is different, but to identify them and to really have them and to run every concept you come up with through these value drivers is the key. Third is they look for something innovative and creative. Now, going back a little bit, we get so many times briefs that they focus is on having something creative and innovative, but I just want to say my perspective. To me, that is just a tool. We use technology as a tool to touch with us, which is humans. So it takes me back to that whole human psychology. So it's always a tool. But they still look for it. They care about something creative and innovative. Fourth is they look for evidence and credibility. They want to make sure that you will deliver what you say you will deliver. So how do you, in an event experience, communicate that? Fast, accurate, and on time. If you're committing that you're going to give something to me, are you going to give it fast, accurate, and on time? Hassle-free. Just, again, make sure that I don't have to go through so much. Give me the message directly. And obviously with our attention span now, be as quick as possible. World-class quality. Yes, the subject of quality, obviously. And competitive prices. And at the end, they want to get success. Now, whatever is their return on return on investment that they're expecting, but they either want to get success out of that or they want to make money. So what I've done is I just took one of these as a case study just to show you how can we do the value drivers exercise for your businesses. So let's look at competitive prices. So there is the yellow ones, what you see is what the actual exercise is, and then you can fill up the white areas. So the first one is the client's or your participants' I want statement. Then how does that I want statement translate into I require here? What are we currently providing? What is the gap in what we provide? What can we innovate to provide, and how can we offer our clients measurable benefits? So all clients or all participants look for competitive prices. What are they actually looking for? What their I want statement is I don't want to pay a high price, right? What are they actually saying? They're saying, I don't want to feel stupid or cheated, and I want to have done my due diligence. You know, it's interesting. Sometimes we go to clients' meeting, and they pretty much don't understand anything about the production, so do I, but we are in positions that we need to show that we understand. So how that is being projected is, I just want to do my due diligence. I'm not stupid. I have to know that I'm not paying a higher price. So that's what they're actually saying. Now, what are we doing as a company to show them that, you are doing your due diligence? We share with them our quality ratio. So what happens is at the end of every event, I send a feedback form to our client, which takes 60 seconds to fill, and we measure what their kind of feedback in terms of their emotional engagement to the event was, and we achieved 93% quality ratio last year. So we share that currently with our client. But what is the gap in what we're providing? We need to show them what we're providing is an investment rather than expense or cost. How? Show that we don't cut corners. So in an event environment, backup is an extremely important thing. So showing that as an agency, we never cut corners and we always think of the backup solutions, whether it's a generator, whether it's a projector. At the end of the day, these are all technology. We need to have backup for everything. Now, do you think that's going to make the client feel that this is an investment, not an expenditure for them? Yes, you can pay a lower price, but that I cannot provide you a backup. And that's how you don't want your event to get messed up because we didn't have backups. So it's just projecting that as an investment and not cost. And then what is the measurable benefit we can offer our clients? Inspectable checkup. It was an amazing story. In our last event, actually, we did the first official Snapchat event in the UAE, and the CEO of Emaar Malls asked us, why do I have to pay so much for a generator? And we said, because you get a backup generator. We have 3,000 people, it's Friday, it's Dubai Mall, it's already busy, and we just cannot risk it. On the day of the event, the CEO of Emaar Mall Groups walks into the event and says, where is that backup generator? This is 2 weeks after that discussion. And we proudly walked him down and showed him the generator. So actually being able to then show that we offer you inspectable backups, whether it's a backup projector or whether it's a backup, whatever, generator, it's always there. So I just wanted to look at, if you do this exercise for each of the 9 value drivers, what does that do for you and what does that do for your clients? And now we created the memories. How do we keep that live? How do we keep that going on? And that's where, obviously, again, the digital and technology and social media and all of that come into play. But I think it's just a little bit of a root cause of how do we get there? And how do we make sure when people leave our events, sometimes they don't know what it is, but they really feel good about it. I don't know if it's happened to you. You go to a 5-star hotel and you walk out and you're like, okay, too modern, too luxury, fine. But sometimes you just go to a very, average restaurant and you leave there thinking, wow, I love it and I'm gonna go back there. I really enjoyed. It's about enhancing and influencing the 5 senses and making sure you address the value of who the client is in that event context. So measuring ROE, the return on experience, will actually give you the return on investment. And thank you very much. I hope you liked it. We can stay connected on my Instagram or the company Instagram. Thank you.